For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's Monday practice of Colorado Week. It's a short turnaround for the Trojans, and they came out in shorts and shoulder pads, which I think was a good call compared to their normal full pads practice, just because they have so many injuries. And we're going to start there with injuries, and I'm going to list them off just because there's so many.
And I'll interrupt you on turnaround, because this may not be a week to turn around many of those guys. I think the couple who showed up today, they're in business, but the rest of the injuries, as you'll let people know, probably not going to get turned around in a short travel week. That's probably the least possible time to turn anything around.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we'll get your thoughts. Just sit tight for a second. Okay. So Stephen Carr has a grade 2 hamstring strain. He's the best out of the significant 6 that Clay Helton talked about after the game on Saturday. Marquise Stepp tore a ligament and will require surgery. He will be out for 3 to 5 weeks, which is just bad news for him in the sense that he was getting some more playing time recently. Drake Jackson has a high ankle sprain. He had a big boot on, but he was able to walk, and he wasn't able to walk on Saturday. So at least that's a progression there. Abdul Malik McClain has a separated shoulder and will be out for a couple of weeks. Munir McClain tore his ACL on the opposite knee that he tore in high school, which is just bad news for him. He was getting some more playing time, and you hate to see another ACL injury for him. And then Christian Rector did not practice today. Clay Helton said that they're not even sure if they can get a half a game out of him at Colorado at this point. So still no progress for Christian Rector there. It seems like that ankle injury is continuing to bother him. But USC did get some positive injury news, especially in the secondary. We saw Elijah Griffin and Greg Johnson return to practice today, as well as ITS. ITS did play some in Saturday's game, but Clay Helton said that he's feeling better than he did last week. So progress in the secondary. And then we also saw tight end Josh Follow return to practice. He had that MCL sprain. I got to talk to Clay Helton briefly about it. He said that his knee is still sore, so he's 50-50 for Colorado, but progress there for the tight end. But like I said, Dan, a long list, a long update there. What do you take away from the multitude of injuries?
I mean, I think that it's almost a good thing that you've got such a short week and a travel week, because you're not holding out hope maybe that there's enough time to get a lot of those guys back. There just isn't. You just got to, you know who you got. You're going to go with those guys, and you do have more people in the secondary, significantly. 2 more former starters are back, and watching Isaac Taylor Stewart in practice today, he looks like he's really feeling good. So that's a good thing. But there are a couple of positions that are pretty depleted.
Yeah, especially at that running back position. Clay Helton said that they actually moved Dominic Davis, who moved to wide receiver already this season, back to running back. So he's at his original spot now. And so now they'll have 3 deep if you include Quincy Junti. But it looks like Keenan Kristen, he was the big star of the media tour today. And he said that he's comfortable. He's ready to do what he needs to do. And Graham Harrell said that they'll give him as much as he can handle on Friday.
Yeah, and I think in a way, here's USC again. You bring Dominic Davis over, who might be the second fastest guy on the team.
True.
So now you have a running back position that doesn't even look anything like it did any other game all year, and it's actually faster. So who knows? I mean, you just and I know it drives other teams crazy, because they're like, well, what do we do about this guy? We haven't ever seen him, any film on him. Or they look at Keenan Kristen and everybody's like, who's that? I mean, where did he come from? So it probably wouldn't be that easy to scout USC this week, even though Graham Harrell says, we're going to do what we do. I think they're probably going to do some things they haven't done. Just a guess.
Yeah, in the sense of getting Keenan in space, just because he's such a dangerous threat. And we asked him today, have you always been fast? And he was like, yep, pretty much. He said in 6th grade when he started playing football, he couldn't catch, so they were like, he's fast enough, let's put him at running back, just hand him the ball and see what he does. So it was interesting getting to learn more about him today.
He's so darn serious, though. Oh, man. And I thought he looked like, to me, that he's got a little bit of, put a little extra weight on, because he is a thick, muscular, solid kid, but he said he stayed right at 181 all year long. I mean, he's one of the few guys they've got listed heavier at 185 than he really is, in reality. So that's the thing that comes into play when they talk about pass blocking and matching him up with big guys. But he says, I'd love to pass. I'm physical. I'm as physical as anybody. And Graham Harrell said, he's been a good pass blocker since he got here. So from that standpoint, It's just the physical, maybe a little bit of a physical mismatch. Although most of the time this year they've run him inside in fall camp. In the game the other day, they finally got him outside on a power where they pulled the guard, but they haven't been afraid to run him up inside.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the offensive performance on Saturday, now that there's been more time to look at the film and whatnot, the message still stayed the same as from what we heard after the game. Basically, Keaton Slovis had an off day, and Graham Harrell says you're going to have off days. Any position is going to have an off day, but quarterback, you kind of notice it more just because they handled the ball so much. And Keaton said, it's still my third game. He said it comes with time, especially making those critical reads. But Harrell was still confident in Keaton, and when talking to Keaton, he just sounds like he wants to get more experience under his belt, and that will come with time.
I thought Graham had an interesting analysis of what he thought was going on with Keaton, because Keaton's now had some really solid games, and he's feeling comfortable and confident, and things didn't go his way right away. Yeah. And it kind of threw him off. I mean, if you're kind of struggling game after game, it's like, that's no big deal. But when you've gone out there and you had a couple of pretty good, good game against Notre Dame coming off of that, and it's not going as well as you would like against Arizona, it's like you're overthinking. Yeah. Graham talked about JT Daniels having that tendency. Now he's talking about it with Keaton, and the idea is you start thinking about, why didn't I do that on that play? Why didn't I complete my reads? Why didn't I have the discipline? And today, Keaton, I thought, a really good answer. He finally said, you just got to forget this and just go on to the next play. And I think they did attribute the way they played better on offense the second half was because of the quicker play calling and the quicker rhythm. He didn't have time to look back and think about it, say, against Notre Dame. And maybe that's the pattern that you'll see more of, is just keeping it moving and not giving them time to think about, I should have done that, or this was there for me and I didn't read it. I mean, there were a couple of times, I'm almost coming out of my seat because you see Keenan flaring and Arizona's not paying any attention to him. The only problem was neither was Keaton. And so I just said, I want him to throw that pass. I want to see what happened with Keenan singled up on that flare pattern with one corner or one safety, and just see how that turns out. I just want to see. We saw it once, I think, at fall camp when he did beat everybody down the sideline, and so I think I'm sure when they went over the film, they looked at a couple of those plays and said, see that? If that's there, you got to have your head on a swivel, Keaton, and if that's there, he's got to get the ball.
Yeah, you did a great job enunciating. I know Graham Harrell joked, Keaton and Keenan, that's going to be a problem. And it definitely has been. We've kind of been running into that in our interviews. But as far as the offense goes, you and I had talked earlier in the week, last week, about how if this is going to be the debut of the air raid, you want to do it against Arizona just because they ranked so poorly in passing defense. Well, they were 128th out of 130. Colorado is 129th out of 130. So could this be the time, if the mental aspect goes how they want it to for Keaton and company, do you think that this could be the game we see the air raid really flourish?
One would think so. I mean, you would think there are some real mismatches between the USC receivers and the Colorado secondary. But who knows? I mean, the way this season has gone, you probably don't want to make a whole lot of predictions. I mean, I think I said USC I thought was going to score 42. They scored 41, so we'll go with that one last week, although I thought Arizona probably was going to handle the USC's defense. I had no idea USC's defense with 5 non-starters in the first group would just manhandle Arizona the way they did and be leading 41-0 in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's Arizona, number 9 in the nation in total offense. I don't care who they play. They were averaging 509 yards a game, and they had 167 through 3 quarters. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Now, and speaking of USC's defense, I didn't mention this earlier, but Palaie Naoteote did not practice, so it looks like Kanai will still probably get that shot on Friday. But with Christian Rector and Drake Jackson out, what do you expect for this defensive performance again?
I think the defensive end is problematic. But as far as Kanai, I don't see him not being in there the rest of the year. Now, do they, figure out, they want to just have the 3-man rotation? I don't know that John Houston comes out just because they really like his senior calming presence and ability to get him from one, defense to another. Now that they're adjusting to the other team, if the offense steps back, takes a look and changes the call at the line of scrimmage. USC is now changing the call on defense, something they haven't been doing. They need John in there probably to do that. I think there's an option maybe with an EA, Pally EA to play him on the edge, maybe to play him with a defensive end, outside linebacker responsibility, a pass rush sort of a guy. When he's healthy, considering that USC is down a couple of 3, outside rush guys right now. So I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But boy, it's hard to. How can you play any better than Kanai did? I mean, 13 tackles, forced fumble, interception. Just so I think he's in there for the long haul at this point.
Yeah, well, we'll get more news about that tomorrow when we talk to the defensive guys. But any final thoughts, Dan, before we wrap it up? Usually I do injuries at this point of the video, but we covered it all at the beginning just because that was the most pressing thing today. We didn't even get to talk about much outside of it with Clay Helton. It was just like, who do you have available right now?
Yeah, I think that's going to determine the football that's going to be played this weekend. Yeah. And, again, you don't want to predict things, because if somebody would have predicted how that secondary was going to play, or how they were going to tackle, or how they were going to run to the football, or how they weren't going to let Khalil Tate have any kind of breathing room at all. I mean, with USC's track record against running quarterbacks, boy, I mean, so this is not a team you feel like you can make any really solid predictions about. This is what's going to happen because of this or because of that. Yeah. You just show up and see what happens. And so I think Friday night will be another example of that. And you just say, it's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens.
Yep. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for USC's Monday practice of Colorado Week. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.